Yeah, this film, I don't even know what to say anymore. So it's been 100 billion years, but the Uncharted movie has finally released. Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it, this film? I mean, it's literally been so long since this film was conceived to when it actually released. It's been through so many versions, so many directors. Mark Wahlberg was going to star at one point. There was just so much going on with this Uncharted film, and now we finally have what is the final product. And I mean, people will know going into this how much I was dreading this film, how much I was just so not looking forward to it. Now I've actually seen it, my thoughts are interesting, but also not surprising to me whatsoever. So before I really dive into my thoughts on this, I really need to justify where I stand on this franchise, because Uncharted is so special to me. It is literally one of, I would maybe even argue, possibly my favorite franchise of all time. It's certainly my favorite video game franchise of all time. I just adore Uncharted with all of my heart. I grew up with Uncharted. Uncharted showed me what video games can be. I grew up with this series. So the idea of them doing a film was always terrifying, and especially, this particular version that we got, the more we found out about it, the more it terrified me. And, I've just put some of my things surrounding me, just to kind of show how much I love Uncharted. I've got all the games here, steel books, Funko Pops, statues. I do also own a Nathan Drake replica ring. I've met Nolan North himself. I even have my own personal little treasure here, which I wear in the style of Nathan Drake. That's where I got this idea from. This was a ring that I found when I lived abroad. I found it in a cave, and I've always kept it. And through Nathan Drake, I wear it like this. I adore this series. So this film, I was just dreading it so much. But now we've actually seen it. How do I feel about it? Well, I'll start off by saying I didn't hate it. And it kills me to say that, and I don't want this to sound, spiteful or horrible, but I'll be honest, I didn't want to like this. Mainly because I felt, based on the trailers, everything I saw from it, I was like, this is so disrespectful to the source material. It doesn't feel like Uncharted. And it doesn't. This movie doesn't feel like Uncharted, at least in my opinion. I don't feel like this movie is a good representation of the video games it is adapting. But that being said, as a adventure film starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, it's pretty decent. It's not bad. And I feel like depending on how you feel about Uncharted as a franchise is very dependent on your enjoyment level of this film. If you are, like me, a die-hard Uncharted fan, I don't think you're going to be able to get past certain elements. I think you'll be able to see the film and in certain ways be able to enjoy it, but there are going to be certain things that are just going to hold you back, and I will talk about those things later. However, if you're not particularly attached to Uncharted, or if you've never even played the games, I think you'll quite enjoy this film. I think it's a very easily digestible, enjoyable action-adventure flick starring two very likable actors that is very easy to just watch and enjoy. But like I say, it's that fan thing. If you are a fan of Uncharted, I just can't see how you're going to get past kind of some of the base level things about this film. But I will start off by talking about some things I did like about the film. For one, I really actually quite liked Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. Now, when Tom Holland was cast, I was fuming. I was completely done. I was just like, this is awful casting. And the problem with Tom Holland is he's not too young, because Nathan Drake, theoretically, at the beginning of Drake's Fortune, is probably about the same age Tom Holland is now, roughly. So it's not the fact he's too young. Tom Holland is too youthful. He has this Peter Pan quality to him where he's going to be a young boy forever. And it isn't helped by the fact that he plays Spider-Man. So he is just really young and really youthful. and it just doesn't work for Nathan Drake. And again, age-wise, technically, he's kind of around the same age Drake would have been at the first game, or maybe even Golden Abyss on the Vita, but it's just his nature, you know, he's not the right fit, and it just comes across as Drake being completely miscast due to Tom Holland. However, what I will say about Tom Holland is he gives it his absolute all in this film, and you can tell that Tom Holland actually does know the games and knows Drake, because his mannerisms, the way he plays Drake, he's got it. Like, he has got it down to a T. Like, he is doing everything right, he's saying everything correctly, he's got the right sort of attitude for it. It's just, like I say, unfortunately, it's not his fault. Like, he's not the right person for this role. And quite frankly, I can't give you a person who would be better for this. I don't think there is anyone on the planet who could actually play Nathan Drake as well as he is captivated and portrayed in the games. I don't think it's going to work. I know a lot of people point towards Nathan Fillion, and Nathan Fillion probably would have been a better choice a few years ago, like, 10, 15 years ago. As good as that fan film was, I think Nathan Fillion is too old. So I can't really give you a good choice as who I would get to play Drake, but Tom Holland, despite being too youthful and being miscast, he does give it his best, and I think, given the fact that he is who we've got as Drake, he gives a pretty good performance and a pretty good adaptation, all things considered. And when he is all suited up, he has that, like, iconic outfit from Uncharted 3, and he's, shooting the guns and the music's playing. It does give off a slight vibe of Drake, but again, I can't look past that boyish charm to really get me locked in as him as Drake. And then we have Marky Mark as Sully, which I just cannot stand for the life of me. I mean, I do enjoy, from an ironic point of view, that Mark Wahlberg at one point in time was cast as Drake, and it's been so long, this film has been in development hell for so long, that he has now aged out of that role and is now Sully. Like, it's become the older mental character. I do enjoy that from a certain point of view, but this is Sully. This is Victor goddamn Sullivan. And you cast Marky Mark as Sully. What is this? I mean, it's just terrible, terrible casting. Like I say, Tom Holland was bad enough. This, I don't even know where to begin with this. Like, this is just terrible. It's just, the problem with this is that it's not even like, because like I say, Tom Holland was miscast, but at least he tries to be like Drake. Mark Wahlberg is just playing Mark Wahlberg, and I like Mark Wahlberg. I think he's a fun actor. I enjoy him and stuff. But he is not Sully, and he doesn't even try to be Sully. He doesn't look like Sully, he doesn't sound like Sully, he doesn't act like him, he doesn't dress like him at any point in the movie until the very, very final bit. It's just horrendous. Like, it just feels so lazy. It feels like the studio just felt like they owed Mark Wahlberg something for having him attached to this project for so long. They were like, oh, well, you can't be Drake anymore because you're too old, so we can make you Sully. Like, it felt so lazy and so disrespectful to what is such a great character, portrayed by Richard McGonagle, who played him so well for so many years, to just rip all that away and go, oh, we'll just get Mark Wahlberg to just Mark Wahlberg about on screen for a bit. It was just frustrating, and I just can't get past it. And again, I like Mark Wahlberg, and I think, Mark Wahlberg playing Mark Wahlberg is fun and entertaining. I enjoy that in most movies, and I did enjoy it at certain points in this, but then I would just get reminded of, oh, he's playing Sully, and then it would just annoy me again. Despite the fact, though, their chemistry, I think Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland, their chemistry in this film is really good, it's really strong. It's not Nate and Sully, and it just, given the fact that this is Uncharted, it didn't feel like it, and it really annoyed me. And then in terms of the other characters in the film, the others weren't too bad. I mean, Antonio Banderas plays the villain, and that was really cool. I thought he was a cool casting. When he was announced, I thought, cool. And I think, what helps Antonio Banderas for me personally is the fact that not only is he a cool actor, but also he's not actually playing anyone from the games, so he's a completely original character, so that wasn't too bad. And also, Sophia Ali, who plays Chloe, she was okay as well. Again, she's not really Chloe, but she's not as bad as the other two, so I guess she feels good in comparison. But yeah, the other castings were not too bad. But given the fact that this movie is all about and kind of centers all around Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg as Drake and Sully, just as a fan, I couldn't get past it. And I think the other major problem this film has, speaking from a fan's perspective, is that this film isn't a direct adaptation of any of the games. So what you get is kind of this weird mishmash of all four of them. So they kind of take elements from all of them and kind of slap them all together. So you've kind of got, the main section of the story, which kind of focuses on Drake looking for his lost brother, and there's also like this pirate related treasure, which is all from Uncharted 4. But then you've also got like, they thought, okay, well, we need some iconic imagery. What's iconic from Uncharted? The plane sequence. Well, that's from Uncharted 3. So you have that mixed in, and Drake's outfit in this game is Uncharted 3. But then you've also got Chloe introduced, which is Uncharted 2. And then they're trying to do Origin stuff, which again is kind of Uncharted 3 and 4, but also a little bit of 1. So it's all just complete clusterfuck of Uncharted, and it just, again, it feels so weird. And I feel like if this was just a one and done movie, it probably wouldn't be as bad, but they are clearly setting up a franchise with this based on the post-credit scene and also what Sony have said themselves. And based on the post-credit scene, spoilers for the film if you've not seen it, there is very much, what I can gather, a setup for the story of the first game. That's what they're going to do in the next film, is the story of Drake's fortune. So if they are going to, from this point, going to start following the games, that just doesn't make any sense, because you've already done bits of Uncharted 4, you've done the most iconic scene of Uncharted 3, so how can you adapt the games directly if you're just going to start from here? It doesn't make any sense. So again, that was a big problem for me. Like, it's just a mishmash of all of them. And I can understand the fact that some people are going to say, well, this is a fresh take, it's a different take, you know, it's not the games, it's a movie version. And I get that. And, you know, in a lot of times, in a situation like this, I would be on that side of the camp, you know, I would be like, oh, you know, it's a fresh take, you know, don't get so annoyed about it. But the point is, you know, I realise I'm being pathetic in this situation. I am so attached to this series that I care too much about it. So for me personally, this mishmash just annoyed me. And I know for some people it's not going to bother them, and that's fine. Again, I wish I was in your camp, to be honest, because then my blood sugar levels wouldn't be as high and my blood pressure would probably come right down. But I really just couldn't get past the fact that it just felt to me really disrespectful. What it felt like to me was that you had Ruben Fleischer directing, who, Ruben Fleischer I don't think is a great director, but a fine choice for something like this, I guess. You know, director of Zombieland, Venom, cool, whatever. It felt like he had no clue about Uncharted, didn't know anything about it, and basically just Googled Uncharted on Google Images and saw all these different things and went, oh, okay, pirate, plane crash, outfit, ring, yeah, and that's what we got. And it just feels like there was no actual research put into the game at all. It felt like there was nobody who was actually passionate about the games beside Tom Holland actually working on it. So it just felt like they just thought, okay, well, we've got a really good IP here that people love and people really know well. Let's make a really good movie out of it. What are we going to do? Okay, well, we're not going to actually do anything that respects the games or do anything directly. We're just going to take some stuff that's kind of Uncharted and put it all together in a movie. And it just doesn't work at all. Like I say, if you're not a fan of the games, it won't annoy you and you'll probably be fine with it. And you'll probably enjoy it as a film. But for me personally, like as a fan, I just couldn't get past so many elements of it just because it annoyed me so much. Right, I am going to try and calm down now, and I understand this review is very ranty and very all over the place, but this has basically been my head ever since Uncharted came out. Some other elements of the film, you know, I do feel like the pirate treasure they go after isn't too bad. I mean, it's pretty generic, it's pretty standard, like it's pretty standard MacGuffin. You know, like I say, it does feel like they are slightly trying to go after the story they did in Uncharted 4, but it's not. It is original, like it's not Henry Avery like they did in Uncharted 4, it's Magellan, so it is a different area of history. So it does have its own original merit on that point of view. And also the action sequences I think are really well done. I think the action is really cool, really exciting. You know, the plane crash sequence, it's not one-to-one with the game. Like there are things they change about with it. I think they were trying to make it a bit more PG-13 because if they did it directly from the games, Drake is a bit more violent in the games than he is in this. Like obviously they can't really have Tom Holland going around being a mass murderer like Drake is in the game, so I guess they had to change it a bit. But I think that overall, you know, the action sequences are really cool, they're really fun, they're really exciting, they're well shot, well handled. Like I say, I just personally didn't love the particulars of some of them, but I do think overall the film does have a lot of its own original merit, which does give it some credence. But like I say, there's just a lot of things in this film that I still can't get past.
Hey, put them down, boys.
What is that thing on your face?
Yeah, puberty's right around the corner, kid. You can grow your own.
And talking about the post-credit scene, the post-credit scene in this movie is beyond bizarre to me because, like I say, they kind of do a mishmash of all four of the games in the main story, and then you get this post-credit scene which kind of sets up the story of Uncharted 1. Like, there is a name drop of Roman, who, obviously Roman is the main villain of Uncharted 1, and they are sort of collecting this map, which they never actually say what it is, but I'm guessing it's a map to El Dorado, which again would be Uncharted 1. But then you also have the outfits, which the outfits for Nate and Sully in this final scene are very bizarre because they are literally wearing the outfits that we see in the flashbacks of Uncharted 3, where Drake and Sully meet for the first time. So they're clearly trying to reenact that scene a little bit. But again, this isn't the first time Drake and Sully have met, because we saw them meet earlier in the film. So it just feels like they've given them these outfits for no reason. And it's all built up to this big reveal where they actually show that Sully has now got the mustache. And it just feels pointless to me. Like, I don't understand why he didn't have the mustache the entire way through the film. Like, why are you doing this now as like a big reveal? It's like, oh, he's finally got the mustache. It's like, well done, you finally made the character a little bit more accurate. But we both know that, like, we all know that Mark Wahlberg isn't going to change his performance in the next movie to be more like Sully. He's not going to put on the accent. He's not going to start, doing anything. It's like, oh, he's got a mustache and has now got a cigar. Well done. Like, sure, he's given a bit more of the look. But it's not just a look. You also need to give, the actual performance of the character. And if you're miscast, I mean, there's not a lot you can do. But you could at least try. And like I said, that's why I actually really respect Tom Holland in this film. At least he tried to be Drake despite being too young and too youthful. Mark Wahlberg didn't try in this movie and isn't going to try. I'm sorry, he's just not going to. And I say that out of great respect. I like Mark Wahlberg. But he's not going to be any more like Sully than he was in this film. So that post-credit scene, despite the fact that it sets up kind of a cool potential story for the next film, and if they are following the story of the first game, cool. Hopefully we get Elena in it. It just feels weird to me. Like, it just feels like, oh, okay, we're actually going to do something that's slightly game accurate, but it's probably going to get wiped away anyway. So, yeah, like I said, that post-credit scene, cool, I guess. There is also another post-credit scene that kind of shows that Sam, Drake's brother, is still alive, which I guess that's kind of a bigger setup because at the end of the day, Sam does come back in the games. Like, obviously, we don't actually know about Sam until Uncharted 4. Like, that's all that game is about, really. And they don't show the face of Sam. We just kind of see him in the jail cell. So I'm guessing we're going to get probably a big-name actor to play Sam in probably the next movie. But again, that feels like a weird mishmash because Sam... I'm rambling here, I understand. But like I said, I have so many thoughts on this movie. It just feels so weird to me. So it seems like that's our main kind of setup for this next film, is that it's going to be Sam returning, potentially with a new actor, and then also the story of Uncharted 1, El Dorado, potentially. So those post-credit scenes were a bit bizarre to me, but kind of cool, I guess. So overall, Uncharted for me was really strange to watch, because in a way, I had a lot of great times with this film, watching it as an action-adventure film, and there were certain elements of it that reminded me of the games that I love so much. However, the problem lies with the fact that the games are so much better and such a better representation of this world and these characters that every time it reminded me of it, it just made me want to play the games. But what I will say is that the score in this film was also really good. I think the score was really cool, and it does actually bring in the Uncharted theme a couple of times. And when the Uncharted theme did kick in, it did make me tear up a little bit because that music is so great. And also the Nolan North cameo was really cool. Just so happy to see Nolan in this film. Nolan North is the voice actor who played Nathan Drake in the games, if you don't know. Just really cool to see him there. But it's just overall, the film just feels so disrespectful to the source material. It doesn't feel like Uncharted to me. It feels like such a mishmash of all four of the games. It felt like someone who didn't have a clue about the franchise and just kind of took the best bits and clumped them all together. Without any regard for storytelling. And like I say, the main problem really comes from the casting. I think that Nathan Drake and Sully, to be fair, are such difficult characters to cast, and they've probably gone with the worst possible option they could have gone for. They literally just went with like some of the most popular actors we have and went, go. And it's upsetting because, again, I think this franchise is so beautiful and has so much richness to it. It felt like it was just kind of put through the Hollywood blender, and this is what we got. And again, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst movie I've seen this year, but there's just something about it that really like niggles me. I just can't really get past a lot of it. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts. Like I say, I know this video is rambling. It's completely out of order, but I just needed to get on camera and talk about this movie because there's so much I had to say about it. And it is very ranty, but hey-ho. But what did you guys think about Uncharted? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you a fan of the games? Did it offend you? Or are you okay with it? Whatever you think, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.